This is a good time to save. So Command S or Control S if you're on a PC. One thing that I did not show you is that if you go into Illustrator Preferences and you go to General and you choose Use Precise Cursor, that is the way that I have it checked. So click on Use Precise Cursor and you'll see if you're in the pen tool, it will look like a little crosshairs rather than the little pen icon, which is probably what you have when you started Illustrator. Another thing you'll notice is as I move this mouse around, you'll see this little pink line. Those are called smart guides, and they're finding points of alignment for us. So we could turn those off because those are sort of distracting and we really don't need those. So let's go to View and just uncheck Smart Guides. Again, you've got a keyboard shortcut that you could use for that if you want. And then as long as we're in View, we could take a look at some other things. Not exactly sure why the snap to glyph is turned on, but I think maybe we could turn that off as well. When I say turn off, what I mean is uncheck it. So just if I select this, if something is checked in this menu, that means that it's active or it's on. And I like to, some of these snapping features, when I'm just drawing freehand with the pen tool, I like to turn these off. So I'm just going to uncheck that as well. And I'm going to continue on with the pen tool. I'm going to start drawing another path. I'm going to swap the colors again. I want my stroke to be black and my fill to be none while I'm drawing. I'm going to make my stroke narrower as I'm drawing as well. And I'm going to continue on. I'm clicking and dragging along the shape that I see on my template. Now, one thing that you can do is if you click and set an anchor point and you don't like the position of that anchor point, you can hit Command Z or Control Z and it will delete that anchor point. If you are in the pen tool, if you don't close the path, like what I'm about to do right now, click on the first anchor point that you set to close the path, then the path will not release from your cursor. So if I'm just like out here and let's say I just want to get out of the pen tool, what I can do, or stop drawing this path, I can hit Escape and then I just get this path. All right, but I'm going to continue on. So one thing that we're going to do is we're going to go beyond the edge of our artboard. We don't want to try to create a path like right up to the edge of the artboard. We're actually going to go past the edge of our artboard. In other words, we're sort of drawing off the paper because we're going to crop that later. I'll show you how to crop that. All right, so not only did I go off of the edge of our artboard with this, but I also overlapped my previous object that I created. All right, so let's go ahead and turn this to black. Now these are two separate objects that I could drag and move separately. I can also edit these separately. So if I'm back in the pen tool, let's say I want to move one of these anchor points. I want my anchor points, I want these shapes to kind of join up a little bit more elegantly. Then if I hold the Command key, what it's actually doing is it's giving me this white arrow. And this white arrow is the equivalent of the direct selection tool. So I could either hold the Command key, click and drag my, hold the Command key, click, and then click and drag my anchor point, or I could just go into the direct selection tool and click the anchor point I want to move, drag it. Okay, so it doesn't have to, notice how pixelated my drawing is, the image of my drawing under here. I'm just using this as a guide, so it's not going to be exact, and I can use a little bit of judgment in order to make my drawing look a little bit smoother. So again, I'm in my direct selection tool. It's the equivalent of being in the pen tool and holding the command key. And I'm going to just refine my path a little bit. I actually kind of like the way that looks. I mentioned that I have two objects here and I can move them separately. What I want to do is join these and create one single object out of these so that they're no longer separate, but it's one single object. So there's a really cool tool that I can use. If I go to the Window menu and I choose Pathfinder, I want to go to the Pathfinders, and what I want to do is join these two paths together, and what it's called in Pathfinder is merge. So I'm going to select one of my objects by clicking on it, and then I'm going to hold the Shift key and select my other object by clicking on it, and then I'm going to choose merge, and it joins these two objects together. So I might decide after I merge these, I might want to simplify these paths a little bit. I might go into the pen tool, and I might click on one of these little anchor points that maybe is an extra that I don't really need, and I could just click on that and delete it. All right. Again, if I go to my direct selection tool, I can click and drag these anchor points. So actually, I like the way that this is looking. So I can sort of construct this entire thing that way if I want to using the pen tool. I can go to the pen tool. I can start clicking and dragging out a path. Oops. What I'm going to do is I'm going to swap my fill and stroke while I'm drawing. Okay, and I'm going to just continue on in the same way. Let's deselect the previous path before we start the new one. I'm going beyond the edge of my artboard. And I should toggle or swap these fill and stroke when I start a new path. And I just let's fill that, deselect it, toggle so that I have a black stroke and a empty fill. And now if I just want to create sort of a square corner point or corner so that I have more of a squared off angular shape, I can do that just by clicking with the pen tool and not dragging out those anchor points. Let me just sort of keep going with this.